So I was really excited to watch this interview with Drake and Bobbi Althoff, if I'm saying her name correctly. However, I was not able to get more than 15 minutes into this interview, so let's talk about it. This is Hey Brittany. Welcome back. Okay, so let's talk about Bobbi Althoff. So I've only seen 2 or 3 videos of her from her previous podcast. I guess it was called The Really Good Podcast. And I know that she's interviewed a bunch of celebrities. I think I've seen highlights from her interview with Wiz Khalifa. And then she had one interview where there was a clip that went viral. And it was the whole confusion over musician and magician, which was really funny. That was probably the funniest thing that I've seen from her. But in general, I do not watch her content all the way through. I've only seen the highlight reels. And so I wanted to come into this interview with Drake, especially coming off of his Degrassi documentary trailer. And I did do a video reacting to that. And I was super excited to have this interview and kind of learn more about Drake. And maybe he would reveal some information about Degrassi. And so that was what I was expecting out of this interview. But I did not make it past the first 15 to 20 minutes. Now, in terms of the vibe, this is definitely not my jam. So I know that this is something that's supposed to be intentionally awkward. It's supposed to be cringy and funny and all of that stuff. And I definitely noticed that in the first 15 to 20 minutes. However, I'm not the type of person who can watch that long term or in a long form interview. I can only handle maybe 15 to 20 minutes of that, or at least 10 to 15 minutes of the best moments of the interview, because I do not have the patience to devote an hour and a half of my time listening to something that makes me feel like I'm losing brain cells. And so that's exactly how this made me feel. And I'm sure there's plenty of people who love this interview and who love this sense of humor and this type of interview, but it definitely was not for me. So I did not get what I was expecting from this interview. I was also very thrown off by the fact that they were in a bed during this interview. Like, they had such a pretty space. They had floor to ceiling windows and the view is spectacular, and they just ruined it by just awkwardly sitting in a bed. They should have just put a couch there, had their mics on stand and all of that stuff so that you could focus on them and then also the background. And so I feel like that was a missed opportunity just from like a visual perspective, because why do we need to see you laying down in a bed talking to each other? And then Bobbi got under the covers at one point. And so it was just awkward in that sense, especially for 2 people who are not even dating. I don't know what their relationship is, but I just felt like that was kind of not the best thing to do, especially if you are doing an interview and this is a big interview and then you're just giving off the wrong vibes. At least that's how I feel about it. I'm sure there's probably people who think that this was like a great interview. This is what they expect from Bobbi, and so they were happy with how everything turned out. And I do want to add that the one joke that I liked in this kind of small talk that they had for the first 10 to 15 minutes was the bobby pin joke, because they were joking about how they ran out of clothes and they were talking about sharing a bobby pin, and obviously that was supposed to be a joke. It's funny, whatever. And so then Drake made the joke, do you send your boyfriend whatever a bobby pin? And obviously he's talking about share your location, which you send a pin, and then bobby pin. That made sense and that was funny, but that was the only thing that I truly found entertaining in the first 15 to 20 minutes. Now, getting back to Bobbi, so I know that when she had her original podcast, because I guess she's making a big comeback, and her comeback was with this Drake interview, I know that when she kind of first blew up, or at least came on my radar, she was getting a lot of publicity, but then she also went through a divorce, and so she is, I guess, now divorced, and she does have kids, and she's making this comeback, and so I guess maybe she was struggling for a little bit with all of, I guess, her newfound fame and all of that stuff, and so it is good to see her making a comeback and trying to get back into the podcasting thing. I don't have a whole lot of details on that, so I do give her kudos for that, but I'm not a fan of this interview. So what I didn't like about the interview was the first 15 to 20 minutes of it was basically like them kind of meeting for the first time. And you know how when you are reconnecting with a friend and it's kind of awkward and you don't know how to act around each other, it was very much like that, and it was just weird energy, and it's just like, it was very unstructured and all of that. I didn't know what I was supposed to be getting from it. It definitely wasn't what I was expecting. And so I just felt like there was a lot of filler conversation to like drag out the interview instead of really just, okay, let's talk about this, and let's move on. And so I just didn't like all of the small talk that was happening, I guess, in between what was supposed to be the big moment. And so that just really bugged me, because it felt like I was listening to high school girls talk, and that has to be super annoying. And then the other thing that I found weird was they were talking about, like, I guess spending a week together. They ran out of clothes at some point, and I honestly don't know anything about these two people as far as their relationship. So I don't know how much trolling they're doing in the first 15 to 20 minutes, but it was super frustrating because obviously I don't know anything about this situation, so I'm kind of coming in the middle of it, and it's going to add to my frustration. So I really wish that she would have just kind of like, hey, let's get you guys up to speed. This is what has happened and so on. And then kind of go into the small talk or the whatever, and then the actual question, the big things that people want to know, because I was really just thrown off and not knowing what was going on, and they just kind of made it worse with the small talk and what they were talking about, and so it just made me not want to watch. And so initially my plan was to watch the full interview. I got 2 minutes in, and then I was like, okay, you know what, you're gonna set a timer for 20 minutes, and if in 20 minutes you don't want to continue watching, you're done, because there's other content that I could be watching on the internet, because I want to create my own content too that I'm reacting to. And so in this interview I was just disappointed because it really wasn't what I was expecting, and that's probably my fault, because obviously I know what Bobbi Althoff is about, what her personality is, what the vibe of her interviews are from the clips that I've seen, but I was just expecting a lot more, and I really wanted to be entertained, and I really wanted to get through this whole interview. So what I may do is just, if I can, find a clip that highlights the top 10 moments of the interview and kind of get the point of this interview that way. But I don't think I'll be able to sit through the whole hour and a half of this interview. I'm not sure what you guys think about my comments on this interview, especially being that I did not watch the whole thing, but hopefully you guys got something out of it. And if there's something that you guys think that I should know, definitely let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.